So it's been a little bit since I've talked about Spain. Remember Catalonia? They want to separate from Spain. They're now currently part of Spain. And they're like, we're paying way above our fair share of everything. What the hell are you doing for us? You're putting us massively in debt. Like, we want to split off and be our own country now. We're kind of done with you. And of course, Spain, the government, oh no, that's illegal. It's a legal referendum. That's illegal. You can't do that. No, stop. And I guess they just had a little referendum. And all the mayors, if any mayors partake or, open up anything to let these people vote, you could be held accountable and liable. And most all of the mayors showed up and said, F you, we're doing it anyways. Sounds like Catalonia wants to be its own country. Independence. Catalonia's defense, this is from Wall Street. Catalonia's defiance of Spanish authority turns into rebellion. Quote, do not underestimate the power of Spanish democracy, end quote. With these words, eerily reminiscent of a line once spoken by Star Wars villain Darth Vader, Spain's Prime Minister Mario Rajoy brought to a close a week of frenzied drama. It began with a foiled attempt by the Spanish police to close down the official website for the Catalan independence referendum. As often happens with web-based raids, the official site was up and running again within minutes, albeit with a different domain name. Next, the public prosecutor's office ruled that the referendum is now illegal beyond all doubt and instructed the Civil Guard, National Police, Catalan Police, and local police forces to act to stop it. It also launched criminal investigations against the entire Catalan government, the Speaker of the Catalan Parliament, the leaders of 2 separatist municipal associations, and more than 700 Catalan mayors, representing 75% of Catalonia's municipalities, for agreeing to cooperate with the planned plebiscite. On Friday, Spain's finance ministry joined the fracas by introducing a motion that would hand Madrid much greater control over how Catalonia spends its money in an effort to block the regional government from using state cash to pay for an illegal independence referendum. It has also frozen Catalonia's monthly advance of the National Liquidity Fund, or FLA, worth some 1.4 billion euros per month, and demanded that banks report any transactions related to the referendum vote to the central government. The ultimate goal is to turn the Catalan regional government into an empty shell of an institution, one that has no autonomy, or for that matter, any practical function or purpose. Starving Catalonia's regional government of funds could well make the vote logistically impossible, but the policy is not without its risks. As we warned a few months ago, if the Catalan government feels that it's backed into a corner financially, it could weaponize its tick-tocking debt bomb, which they link to if you want to read that story. If Barcelona refuses to honor its debt to Madrid, both Catalan and Spanish debt could be declared in default, with disastrous consequences for both. Now, I'm going to stop for a second because something just popped into the old noggin. Wilkerson. What was his name? James Wilkerson? David Wilkerson? Whatever. The preacher guy from the 90s. Vision I got from God, and a Spanish country is going to default, like on 100 billion. I think it might be Mexico, but Spanish country said, and then from there it's going to go. The euro is going to have problems. You'll have 2 to 3 weeks in America to get your money out of the banks because it'll come here next, but it's going to hit the euro right away. But he thought it had to do with Mexico. He said a Spanish country. He thinks it's Mexico. Well, how about Spain? How about Spain? It's in the EU, the euro. They use the euro. And since he said that would take a dive and be in trouble, then the U.S. would get hit next, financially. I'm just thinking out loud here. Anyways. While such an outcome is still highly unlikely, especially given the potential scale of the fallout, there are no signs as yet that either side of this conflict is prepared to back down. But how did relations between Spain and its rich... Now you know why they want it to stick around so bad. And its richest province plumb such depths. How did Catalonia, a region that enjoys levels of autonomy in education, healthcare, in public policing, that would be the envy of many other parts of Europe, particularly those across the border in France, end up embracing a cause that would put it in direct confrontation with Spain's central state. While many of Catalonia's grievances date back decades, and in some cases centuries, the latest explosion of separatist fervor is relatively recent. In 2007, just 14% of the Catalan population supported independence, according to the regional government's own stats. By 2013, that number had tripled to 48%. You know the old saying, I tell you, the truth goes through three phases. First, it's ridiculed, then it's violently opposed, then it becomes common knowledge. Well, here's two instances of that. In 2007, only 14% of the Catalan population, cared for it. Independence. All right, so that's the first phase of the truth, It's ridiculed. What are you guys talking about? We don't want to leave. Then, hey, we do see some problems. A lot more people jump on. Not a lot. Not enough, though. 48%. Phase 2 of the truth. That was 2013. Now we're in 2017. It's much more higher than that. A lot higher than 48%. Now the truth is here. It is becoming common knowledge. We need to separate from Spain. Okay? Now the other instance of what I just said, the truth, the phases, you have a country wanting to leave. That country is going to leave. So the Spanish government, you guys aren't going anywhere. Stop that nonsense. Don't protest. Don't hold a referendum. Right? That's the ridicule. Stop. No, F off. We're going to anyways. We just got done the first stage. We're going through with this. Now they're getting upset. I'm calling the police, the national police, the army. We're going to stop you. Violently opposed. Second stage of the truth. And then finally, when you hear Catalonia has absolutely declared independence, that's the full truth. Right? It went through three phases. Anyways, what happened in such a short time to spark such a sea change in collective thinking from 14% to 48%? A large part of the answer can be found in the following three developments. Number one, the financial crisis. When Spain's gargantuan property boom began crashing in 2009, prompting the domino-like fall of the country's savings banks, the inevitable result was a massive contraction in the economy that laid waste to millions of jobs. By 2012, unemployment in Catalonia had hit 19%, while in Spain as a whole it was a staggering 26%. That's a quarter, just slightly more than a quarter. As public anger in Catalonia rose, so too did support for the separatist cause, in what was largely a calculated move to divert attention and blame away from its mismanagement of the local economy, unpopular cuts in public spending, and political scandals. The region's governing party, Convergencia, hitched its wagon to the rising movement. The Spanish government hardly helped matters by repeatedly reducing the amount of public investment in Catalonia, which merely fueled Catalans' sense of economic injustice. Catalonia contributes nearly a fifth of Spain's gross domestic product, yet the region received just 9.5% of Spain's national budget. Even in the last couple of years, after repeated promises from Madrid that it would inject more funds, the total investment has actually continued to fall. Number two, the stillbirth of Catalonia's new statutory autonomy. Whatever. As with all of Spain's autonomous communities, Catalonia's regional government holds sway in certain areas of culture, education, health, justice, environment, communications, transportation, commerce, and public safety. It also has its own police force, the Mossos de Esquadra, though the Spanish government keeps agents in the region for issues relating to border control, terrorism, and immigration. And I'll add one, in any state within Spain that decides it wants to leave. However, Catalonia has virtually no say in fiscal matters, unlike Spain's other separatist region, the Basque Country. That was all supposed to have changed with the new Statute of Autonomy signed in 2006 by the Catalan executive and Rajoy's predecessor in government, José Luis Zapatero. But the agreement was not to last. In 2010, Spain's highly politicized Supreme Court, at the urging of the People's Party, annulled many of the articles of the already diluted statute, effectively stripping the agreement of any meaning and giving Catalonia's independence movement its biggest boost in decades. When that decision was made, 3 of the 12 members of the court had already finished their terms, while a 4th member had died and not been replaced. Nonetheless, the ruling still stood. As Rajoy says, do not underestimate the power of Spanish democracy. And finally, number 3, a full frontal attack on the Catalan language. In Catalan culture, one thing is more sacred than any other: the region's language, which was ruthlessly banned from public and official use during the Franco dictatorship. But that didn't stop the governing People's Party from using its absolute majority to bulldoze into law a deeply unpopular education bill that, among other things, sought to introduce a trilingual model, Spanish, Catalan, and English, in schools that would de facto suspend the current Catalan immersion system. The Catalan executive refused to comply with the law. It was its first major act of open defiance. Now, 5 years later, it's an open rebellion. If Rajoy carries out his threat and unleashes the full power of Spanish democracy in the weeks ahead, stripping away Catalonians' autonomy at a time that it's crying out for more, the rebellion could become even worse and come out to a full revolt. The closer the referendum, the more draconian Spain's response. Please read Investors Fret as Catalonia's independence turmoil seethes. Again, that was wolfstreet.com. And that's it for today, folks. Unless some breaking news needs to come out. Take care.